Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today I am looking at the price of Matic, and we are going to figure out what the heck is going on with Matic. So the previous video I did was QNT Quant. Now I recommend highly to go back and watch that video, at least the first part, to fully understand the 5 phases of the market and what I look for in a crypto that's primed for blast off. So let's just run through a few ideas here on the price of Matic. Basically, overall, it looks very bullish. We have a beautiful concrete foundation. This is our base, right? And this is basically just sideways accumulation and people absorbing the supply, right? And then after that, what's next? We have a major blast off. So look at this as your pole, right? This is your pole, and it's planted inside this concrete foundation, very strong. And then this is your impulse, and now you're correcting, right? You're correcting. So this is kind of like your flag, right? And we're just getting ready to break out. And that would be basically the general idea on how to look at that, right? So, we accumulate, we blast off, we correct, we go. And that's basically the overall way to look at it. So now getting into the nitty gritty, let's take a look at a few ideas. So idea number 1 would be, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be wave 1. And now this is A, B, and now we're in the middle of C. Now C can come down and break this low, and then it can continue higher, or it can chill out right here, go sideways, and then continue higher. Now I'm going to tell you why I believe it's the second option. And like I said before, it's very important to watch the QNT video because I go through the examples. And basically what that means is, I'll show you right now briefly. So I'm going to use Bitcoin as an example. So here's Bitcoin back in the day. And basically here's the 5 phases. So here we go. We have a rise, we have a crash, we have a retrace, we have reaccumulation, and we have this sideways box, and then we blast off. So just take a mental screenshot of that, right? We have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways box, and then blast off. Same thing with Ethereum. Right here, we have a rise, we have a crash, we have a retrace, and now we have reaccumulation, right? We have this sideways box, reaccumulation, and then we blast off. So those are the necessary requirements in order for us to get a blast off. First, we need the crash, then we need the retrace, and then we need reaccumulation, and then we can go. I'll even give you another example. Here's the price of XRP. Remember XRP? It had this like one of the biggest breakouts ever. So check this out. We have what led to that breakout is the important part. So we had a rise, we had a crash, we had a retrace, and then we went into reaccumulation, sideways box. So rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways box. And then it was a big box, by the way, and then it made this massive breakout. So this was our base right here. The bigger the base, the higher in space. So actually, just to point it out real quick, this is exactly what's happening currently on the current time frame of XRP. Is one of the reasons why I'm holding XRP is this right here. Check this out. We have a rise, we have a crash, we have a retrace, we have reaccumulation. Look at this. Sideways box. What happens next? I just given you all those examples. Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways box. What happens next? Blast off. You may like, no way, it's impossible, that can't happen. Well, remember, XRP never broke its all-time high going back in 2018. It's been going for a very long time. Look how massive this basis, and I'm going to circle back to why it's so important for Maddock. If you're a Maddock holder, this is very important, right? So you have these big bases in here, and inside the base you have, right, you have a rise, you have a rise, you have a crash, you have a crash, you have a retrace, you have a retrace, you have reaccumulation, you have reaccumulation, you have a sideways base, right? Then you have blast off. What comes next? Blast off, right? So here's a coin, right? Filecoin. Here's another example that hasn't done it yet. So check this out. This is very important to understand for Matic. If you're a Matic holder, I think this is going to be one of the most important videos, because I'm showcasing what it takes to get the moon. Everybody wants the moonshot. So I'm giving you what it takes to get that moonshot. So look at Filecoin. Filecoin had a rise, check number 1. We had a crash, check number 2. But look, we never got a retracement, right? So what comes next? Retrace, right? And then come down for reaccumulation, and then go sideways, and then blast off. That's usually what happens. And you can hold me to it, right? Screenshot it. That's usually what happens. I showed you with XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the top 3 biggest coins out there, right? And not just them, but many other coins too. So, for example, XRP is right here, and Matic is also right here. But Filecoin still has all of this and all of this and all of this to go. Now, granted, right, so what would you rather have, right? Matic, which is sitting right here, ready to go, or Filecoin, which still has, obviously, yeah, you're going to make a ton of money. Look at this. We still have a major retracement, right? Maybe the retracement's not so big, right? But now, granted, this can be like a 1-2, and this can go up and continue to go up without going into reaccumulation. That's possible, but usually we do have reaccumulation. Here's Dogecoin. Dogecoin had one of the biggest runs ever. Look at this. We had a rise. It's very choppy in here, but bear with me. You have a rise, you have a crash, you have a retrace, right? This is a retrace, and then it came down for reaccumulation, and then boom. Look how big the boom was. Look how big the blast off was. It seems like the bigger the base, the bigger the reaccumulation range, the higher in space. And what has the biggest base right now is XLM XRP. They have 2 of the biggest bases. And also QNT. And we're going to look at Matic. We're going to circle back to it. And I'm going to show you why Matic is one of the bullish coins. And you're going to be surprised, right? I'm sure you've seen a lot of Matic videos out there, but I'm trying to provide something nobody else is. And I'm showing you different examples of why that is, right? So, rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. Look at this blast off. Now, when you look at something like Pepe, it's very hard to understand what it's going to do, right? Because there's not a lot of data. Now, this is like a wild card. I don't know about meme coins. I don't really care. If it makes me money, that's what matters. But also, I like the fundamental utility value of it. What does Pepe have? I don't know, right? So we have a rise, we have a crash, and now we're going into retracement. Maybe we come down for a little reaccumulation, then we go. And you say, well, come on, what about Maddock? You showed me too many examples. Okay, and I'm going to go back to Maddock, and we're going to talk about the chart for Maddock. So one sec. But before I do that, I'm just going to show you one last example. Look at QNT. We have our concrete foundation. We have a blast off. We have a rise. We have a crash. We have a retrace, and look what's happening. We have reaccumulation, sideways box. So we have the rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways box. You don't have to understand technical analysis to understand this, right? I'm trying to give the most basic structure, right? Because TA is hard. You have all these lines. It goes up, it goes down, and it's all crazy. That's why you got to zoom all the way out and just look at the phases. We have an up move, we have a down move, we have a retracement, we have reaccumulation. What comes next? Blast off. Now, granted, we can come down and hit the low again. You know, it really depends. But all in all, right, we're looking for a blast off. All directions lead to the upside. The question is, how does the kinks get worked out for us to get to there? So, okay, so now we have that basic understanding down. Okay, now here we go. Now here is the price of Matic. Now what the heck can we expect for Matic, right? So like I said before, now knowing everything we know now check it out. We have our concrete foundation, check. We have our rise, check. We have our crash, check. We have retrace, check. And now we're down for reaccumulation, check. So we have all the necessary requirements for a major breakout in Matic, right? So, going back to like, this is Sandbox, right? So does Sandbox have the necessary requirements, right? Well, let's see. We have a rise, we have a crash, but we don't have a retracement or reaccumulation, right? So I think Sandbox is going to get there, and I'm just using it as an example. I don't know. I'm just using it as an example, right? But I still think we need to come up into a retracement, then come down for reaccumulation, and then we can blast off. But guess what? Why would I mess with sand when Maddock is already there? And QNT is already there. And XRP is already there. They are already there, right? So for example, Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin doing? Well, it looks like Bitcoin is in a retracement. So what's Bitcoin doing, right? So we have a rise. This is the all-time high of Bitcoin. Okay, check. We have a retrace. We have a crash, right? So we have a rise, we have a crash, and now Bitcoin is in a retracement. Now remember sand. Sand was way down here, right? And not just sand, but many, many other coins. So when Bitcoin is all the way up here and sand is way down here, people what? They sell their altcoins and they go into Bitcoin because they're capitulating, they're FOMOing. They are basically like, hey, why is Bitcoin going up, but my altcoin is going down or doing nothing? I made a video about that. Just go to the channel and you can see the video on why that is, because Bitcoin needs to move first in order for this to happen. Okay, so we have the rise, crash, retrace. What comes next? Well, we go down for reaccumulation, and then we go. So for example, let me make that a lot cleaner so we can see. So for example, right here, and this is my prediction for Bitcoin. And you say, well, I don't care. I only care about Matic. Well, Bitcoin is very important. It is one of the instruments that is needed for Matic to do what it needs to do. So check it out right here. And I'm going to get back to Matic in a second, but I'm laying down the foundation so that we can understand what the heck is going on. So here's our base, right down here. And remember, Bitcoin was in that thing for a while, for like over 6 months. We broke out, right? So now we want to come down into another base. And that would be what? Rise, crash, retrace. Then we go down for reaccumulation, back testing this channel here, right? And then we can go. So rise, crash, retrace. Now it can come down here and reaccumulate too, right? It depends. It depends how it wants to do it, right? But either way, we're expecting more upside, right? So now surely Bitcoin can continue going into new all-time high, but then at that point it never had a retracement, right? So to me, this is just a retracement before we go sideways into reaccumulation again. So reaccumulation means we have to go down and then sideways, down, then sideways, and then up. Right now, I don't know how long it's going to take, right? So those are the ideas. That's sort of my prediction. I don't like making predictions, but that's what I foresee Bitcoin doing. Now, the ultimate bearish thing, right? Remember everybody said 10K, we're going down to 12K, 9K, 8K, 14K. Now, the only way we can do that is, here it is right here, right? So back test, right? We never back tested. So we came up, A, B, and then we come all the way down and back test. So A, B, C, A, B, C, right? And then we go. And that would be something different other than that's never happened before. Usually what happens is we have a rise, crash, retrace. We have a higher low, right? We have a sideways base, right? Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, and then we go. So that's why I'm not really counting on Bitcoin going to 14K, but it's possible it can. So, okay, now we understand all that. Now let's go back to Matic. And by the way, as Bitcoin, if Bitcoin, you could say, well, if Bitcoin's going to do that, then how is Matic going to break out? Well, because usually Bitcoin goes up first, and then as Bitcoin goes sideways or consolidates, that allows rotation into the altcoins, and we can get an alt season. And it doesn't take much to get a big alt season and a big breakout for Matic and others as well. So there you go. I think that is a lot of good information to start with, right? We have our concrete foundation. We have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, and we're just going to go sideways until we break out and go. And that's where I think Bitcoin is, right? Bitcoin is like right here, somewhere right in here, right? Remember its little base that we had for 6 months? We broke out, so it's somewhere in here. So this one obviously went down, but what I think Bitcoin can do is just go sideways for a bit, and that would allow the alts to sort of kick off, especially if the stock market continues to pump, right? And then another thing, let's take our downward resistance line. Check this out. We are right there, right at the point of a breakout. Now I can go, now we can touch the wick or we can touch the body, right? And look at the body. The body of the candle is right there. We are literally right there from a major breakout, right? And then I can connect this wick and this wick in here. And look at that. You have a beautiful symmetrical contracting triangle, or whatever you want to call it, right? And this is exactly what XRP is doing, by the way. So if you're bullish on Matic, you're bullish on XRP, right? Not talking fundamental, I'm talking technical, the chart, right? So for example, this could be right here. We have an A, a B, a C, and now we're in D. And then we come down for E. E doesn't have to come all the way down. It can just be like a bull flag. So this is our flagpole. And then what happens? Massive breakout. And we're going to talk about targets too. How high can Matic go? We're going to talk about that. So yeah, there we go. We have this is the basically the grand thesis here. The grand idea is everything I just mentioned, right? So looking at XRP, just going back, because I like to use that as an example. Anytime you look at a chart and you're trying to figure out what's happening, you got to look at other charts to give confluence or some sort of direction or some sort of basis to go off of, right? So you saw Matic in that contracting triangle. Now look at XRP. It's same type of behavior. Now, these two coins are not doing what other coins, like for example, Sandbox. It's barely going into its retracement. Look at XRP. It hasn't broken its all-time high in a long time. So this is why you want coins, not financial advice, but that have already been there, done that, and already, we're looking for primed suspects, right? We're looking for things that are primed. So we have A, B, C, and D, and now we're in E, and then we're right there. We're right there. We're ready to go. And now remember, when the whole market went into a crazy bull run, XRP only went into a retracement, right? It was just a retracement. So by the way, XRP's triangle is twice as big as the Matic triangle, but that doesn't mean it's going to be bigger. I mean, it obviously can, but remember, Matic's market cap is a lot smaller, which means the velocity, the pump can be a lot bigger, but at the same time, this is a pretty big pattern here. So I'm expecting a big pump to the upside, right? And not just because I like XRP, which I do, full disclosure, but from a technical perspective, it is good, right? And now, granted, XRP is one of the controversial coins out there, but I like controversy. I like when people hate it and love it and this and that, because what happens is it all of this love and hate stored into the asset, and it's like, it's just energy, right? When people hate it or love it, it's being energy being stored. And to me, this thing is like coiling up like a velocity that it's going to go. And what I'm saying here is this is very bullish for Matic, right? So there you go. Here's Matic right here. So again, just using XRP and Bitcoin and Ethereum and QNT, all of those charts as an example, so that we can better understand what Matic is doing. So there you go. That's basically everything there. Now, like I said before, this could be an A, right? A B, a C, and now we're working on, right, A, B, C, D, and now we're working on E. And then what happens next? We need to get above this $1.40 area, right? We come up, maybe back test, and then continue higher. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen today or tomorrow or next week or even next month. But probably sometime next year, maybe in the spring, right? Usually summertime crypto is boring and it doesn't do anything. Low volatility, people are on vacation, etc., right? But during the spring, right, it likes to spring. There's a lot of volatility. So usually late fall, early winter, and early spring, late spring, early summer, it likes to do things, right, throughout the year. So that's basically it here. We're looking at this, and now when you look at this in a different light, you could say, well, this could be, let me actually put this on Elliott wave. So we have a 1, a 2. All of this is 3. All of this is a 4, and that's another beautiful thing. Usually triangles like to pop up in wave 4. So this is 4, and then we go into wave 5. Boom. Right? We go into wave 5. So there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, right, we can A, B, C in here. And then, we're not even there yet. But let's just focus on the next move, which is this up move that I'm expecting soon. So taking everything off the screen, now let's try to figure out what else is happening. Is there anything else that could be potentially happening here? Well, like I said, the bearish idea could be that this is an A, this is a B, and now we're in some kind of C wave, right? So we're coming down like this, 1, 2, and then 3, and then we go, right? That's definitely possible. Is it really likely? Not really, because I don't think we're going to break this low. I think this low is going to hold, right? Because even if it is still in another quote-unquote retracement, right? This was our low. So 1, 2, and now we need a 3, right? So if it's going to be bearish, then this is how it's going to go right here. This is the bearish idea. Now get ready, because it's not good, but I have to give every scenario, right? The bearish scenario is this is an WXY. There's your W. WXY. There's your X. WXY. There's your Y. So we have what? A WXY. So there you go. That would be the bearish idea. So that would be W, X, and Y. Now where does Y go, right? Does Y come all the way down and back test 4 cents? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Y would well, we have to pull some fibs up, and we don't know because we don't know where X finishes, right? But basically that is how it would look like, right? Maybe break this low ever so slightly, grab that liquidity, and then go to the moon. And then that would be your three-way move, right? That would be your three-way move. So we would have, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and then we go. And that could happen. That could definitely happen. And in which case, this right here is the retracement, and this is the reaccumulation, right? So we can have like a sideways box in here. Sorry, my chart's getting cluttered, but let me just take this off and just do it again real fast. So we have 1 right here, right? And we come down here, but maybe we don't come down that far, right? So this is X. So in other words, this is a rise, this is a crash. All of this is a retracement, right? This whole thing is a retracement. Then we come down for reaccumulation, and then we go. So that's another way you can look at it. And that would be my second primary idea. So let me just summarize here for you guys, okay? So idea number 1, rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, go. Idea number 1. Idea number 2 is W, X, Y, reaccumulation, go. And then basically that would be a rise, crash. All of this is reaccumulation. Then we go down. I'm sorry. Let me do that again. Rise, crash. All of this is a retracement. Then we come down for reaccumulation, right? Sideways, and then we go. So the first option and the second option is probably my 2 top contenders. So, and then the third option would be very bearish, which would be more so a traditional WXY, which is 3, 3, and then 3. So 1, 2, 3. We come down here and then we go. So regardless of what happens, if you're a macro bull on Matic, right? If you are bullish on Polygon, right? That's the name, Polygon with its native token Matic. If you're macro bullish, then you have nothing to worry about. Matic is doing exactly what it needs to do. Sometimes it gets psychologically difficult, right? Because you're not sure what's going on. You hear things on the news, the economy, the dollar, the interest rates, the Fed, the money printer, the political, the election, and this and that, cyber attack, blah, 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 exchanges getting sued, FTX collapsing, Bitcoin, blah, blah. It's just like, gosh, sometimes you got to turn it all off, go back all the way to the beginning, and understand why you got into crypto in the first place. Because in my opinion, the old financial system is broken, and a new financial system is being born parallel to the existing one, right? So if the existing system crashes, which I believe we're in the process, not, a crash can be different things, right? It doesn't mean we crash like a stock market crash, but a crash meaning it doesn't work anymore. And then we start to transition, right, into this new system, which is what? Distributed ledger technology, cryptocurrency, things like that. And Polygon is a proper blockchain. It is a proper network, right? I mean, even had a former president of the United States chose Polygon, whether you like it or not. He chose Polygon to be for his NFTs, right? So it's a building thing. There's low fees. It's not like Ethereum, right? It's great. So there's nothing to worry about when it comes to Polygon and Matic. I think everything you see here is just corrective. It's all corrective, which means we're in a good position here, right? We're in a good position here. So, I think at the end of the day, you just go back to the basics. Concrete foundation. Here's your flag. Here's your flag pole, right? Your pole is planted into the foundation, and here is your flag, right? And you're just oscillating, and before you know it, we're going to break out. Okay, there you go. And that's basically in a nutshell, right? And that's usually what it is. So now how it gets there, when it gets there, it's a little more challenging, right? So let's zoom in and see if we can, I don't want to keep this video too long, but let's zoom in and see if we can find anything. Let's first go to the daily chart, or let me see here. Yeah, let's go start off on the 2-day chart. So right off the bat, this could be, you know, a 1 2 3 4 5, and this is A, B, C. So this would be 1 2, and now we're in the third wave, and now this is 1 of the third, 2 3 4 5. That would be wave 3, right? And so on and so forth. So, and look how, let's pull up the bull market. Look at that. The bull market support band, we are above it. That is bullish. That basically says, look, we're bullish. So as long as it's being supported and held and we're above the 200 week, it's good. EMA ribbon, we're also good. Look at the EMA ribbon. Beautiful. Beautiful. Holding support nicely, right? RSI, looking still good. A little overbought, right? Maybe we come back down a little bit and then continue up, right? So divergences, that could be a separate video. I don't want to get into that, but yeah, I'm trying to keep it very basic for the first Maddock video. I don't think I ever did a video on Maddock before, but yeah, I'm looking at this as, now let's zoom in even closer on this particular wave here. Let's go to the 12-hour chart. So what we see here is, again, like another type of a fractal, but even smaller. So check this out. Here's your concrete foundation. Yeah, now we're starting to remember. Concrete foundation, right? Here's your base. Here's your flagpole. The flagpole is being planted into the concrete foundation, right? So you have a rise, you have a crash, and now we're in a retracement. What comes next? You guessed it, reaccumulation. So now we're going to come down maybe a little bit, or maybe we break out. But usually, let's be conservative about it. Rise, crash, retrace, come down for reaccumulation, and then continue higher, like a cup in a handle pattern, right? Something like that, right? Right, so that would be idea number one. Rise, crash, retrace, come down, reaccumulation, and sort of back test this area in here, right? In reaccumulation. So we'll come down, we'll back test this area, and then continue higher. Or option number two, right? Same kind of thing. This is like a 1 and 2, and now we're in the process of wave 3, and we're ready to break this high. So look for this high to be broken, and yeah, and we'll start kicking off wave 3. Now, if this low gets broken, we'll talk about that. So, and that would be nothing to worry about, because all that would be, in my opinion, would be an A, a B, and a C. And now C can come all the way down here and back test this range in here, but I don't think so. I think it's going to come, if it does, somewhere around this area right in here. So that's sort of how I'm looking at it. And then what comes next? More upside, right? So there you go. That's sort of how I'm seeing it. Those are a couple ideas on the smaller time frame. I can get even to more. I'm trying to keep the video, I mean, my videos are usually long. I'm trying to keep it short, but I'm also trying to give as much information as I can, but also not trying to give so much detail that it drives people nuts. On the next update, I can get into the more nitty-gritty stuff, but basically on the overall, what you see is sort of, is what you get, right? And I think what I'm producing here is not normally what people post, right? Usually the videos are like 5, 10, 15 minutes. They run down the ideas and that's it. But I'm sort of showing you, a different approach, or at least I'm trying, and we'll see how it goes. But fairly new channel, not really. I'm not a YouTuber at all. I don't edit videos. It's a one shot, one take thing, right? I do pause in between when I flip through charts, but that's basically it. So I'm just trying to give people, something that they haven't seen before. Because if my analysis is the same as 3 other channels, then there's no point in me producing a video, because I'm not really giving any value, because other people are already giving it. But the way I show it, right, by saying this is your concrete foundation, your pole that's planted in here, right, your rise, your crash, your retrace, your reaccumulation, right? I like to go in phases of the market. So yeah, that's basically it. All right, now let's talk about targets, the grand finale. Like, drum roll please. Okay, so basically there's a couple ways you can figure out a target. Number one, we'll just start with the basic, which is Fibonacci. Now, there's 2 different ways you can look at Fibonacci, on linear scale and log scale. Let's be more conservative and look at it on linear scale. So right off the bat, my first target would be the 1.618 and the 1.702. So right in there, about $4.50. That's not bad at all, given the fact that this thing is only 92 cents, right? So it's a little more, I think, than almost about a 5x, I want to say. So if I take this here and I go all the way up there, yeah, that's about almost a 400% move just on target number 1, right? So first target, about $4.50, right? The second target would be the 2.618 at $7.08. And then last but not least, a full Polygon Matic full 4.236 Fibonacci extension comes in at a whopping $11.26. So right there, that would be a full extension. And that's what Bitcoin did. That's what Ethereum did. That's what the stock market did. If those can do that, and they're big market caps, and surely Maddock can as well. But what I'm about to show you is a little better, because I'm going to take this off log scale, and I'm going to put it on, I'm going to take it off linear scale and put it on log scale, and then we're going to figure out if there's any confluence. So yeah, basically, those are the 3 targets that I have, right? So in other words, if I were to draw it, rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, just like that, right? So basically, from here to the top, that's about almost a 1,200% move right there. So not bad at all for Maddock. So now I'm going to put this on fib levels based on log scale, right? And I'm going to see if there's any confluence in here. And let me make sure that's right. Yeah, good enough. Okay. So right off the bat, the 1.618 is sort of where we would look at, which is about $11.65. So to me, I think that's the golden target right there. It's not super exuberant, but it's not super conservative either. I think that's a really good target to have. So personally, between $10 and $13, I think is a great place to consider taking profits for Maddock. Now, can it go higher? Yes, of course. And then I think the highest we can go And I don't know if this is, maybe it takes another cycle, right? And then in which case the Fibonacci will be different. But I'm thinking $27 and $50. Maybe. I mean, I would love to be surprised, right? $50 definitely possible in the future. But is it going to happen now? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that's a little too much to ask for. That would be over a 50x on a market cap that's pretty big. So not buying that right now. I think the highest we can go would be about $27. And I don't even know if we can hit that. But that's why I'm saying let's not be greedy, because you know, as the old saying goes, like they say, pigs get slaughtered, right, or something like that, right? You don't want to be greedy because you don't want to hold it with anticipation of that. But at the same time, if you got to understand your plan, are you holding it for the next 5, 10, 15 years, or holding it for retirement, or holding it for you don't care for your kids or whatever, or you're trying to get in, get out, and things like that, right? Or you at least deleverage yourself in this area, right? Now, for me, I probably sell maybe 70% in this area. And then if we do get to these bigger targets, then yeah, you have a little more to show for. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I think definitely $4.50 for sure is like the bare minimum. The second would be up to that $7, $8 mark. And then, of course, the $11 to $15 mark would be a great place to think about taking profits. And then honestly, $20 I think is another good spot too. It's a nice round number. It's in between the 14 and the 27. So yeah, there you go, guys. I think that should do it. If you have any other charts you want me to look at, let me know. I did QNT today, Maddock. So yeah, I think I did Theta as well. So we'll see what happens. A lot of people, the sentiment has shifted bullishly, but you always want to be cautious and contrary, right? So obviously this can come down a little bit further before going up. Remember, we're in a correction, right? But at the same time, I still believe this is a rise, a crash, a retrace, reaccumulation, and now we just got to work out this range in here before we continue marching higher. Unless, of course, this is an A, B, C, and then we go down for reaccumulation, in which case it would be the same, it would just take a little longer, right? So, very bullish on Matic in the macro, on the overall macro view. Now, it could take some time, but just be cautious, and don't worry about it. I say just hodl. And remember, not financial advice at all. I will catch you on the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you can, leave a like. Maybe consider subscribing. I will definitely post more updates as time progresses and as the chart changes. So, yeah. Thank you guys. Take care. Cheers.